Hello there trainers, greetings, KuroBlitz here and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. With the start of the year of 2023, we also come to the conclusion of Ash's adventures as the protagonist of the Pokémon anime. This has been a topic of discussion for several years and generations now, to which various people in the fanbase and community had their own ideas and perceptions of when Ash's adventure would conclude. Many people would go with the odd numbers of generations 1, 3 and 7 after the Mewtwo movie, after the Battle Frontier and after the Alola League, where many people would go with the even numbers of generations 2, 4 and 6 after the classic anime with Misty and Brock and Johto, after the classic era with Diamond and Pearl from Poké Japan, and even Ash being at his prime as a trainer in Pokémon X, Y and Z. But no one really talks about how would Ash's adventures could have ended if his last series was Best Wishes, also known as the Black and White Saga. While yes, Ash's adventures are now ending with Generation 8 of Pokémon Journeys, I really do believe that if Black and White didn't have the stigma that it had and also the unfortunate events that it had back in the day, like with, the earthquake and getting Black and White 2 and the Nintendo 3DS being developed early, I do believe that Ash's adventures could have realistically ended in Generation 5 in some way, shape or form. It could have been the generation because, it was the generation that lasted the 2D graphics. It was the last one from the Nintendo DS. In 2013, 10 years ago, we got the final year with Team Plasma and the Decolor Islands, to which was also, the 15th anniversary of the Pokémon Company International, or TPCI. So they could have done something amazing if, this was Ash's last adventure back in the day, because Team Rocket was serious, he couldn't rely on Brock. There are so many factors they could have done beautifully. Of course that the series would have to be retooled and Ash would not have to be the age of 10. Either don't say his age at all or say that he's 15 and the last episode he would turn 16 because he was with us for 16 years. So this is what I would like, to tackle. How would Ash's adventures could have ended in Unova. But before that, just a disclaimer about the rosters that I'm going to give Ash in this reality, and also the ones to his companions being Iris and Silent. When it comes to Ash's character, he will not have a rotating team to try to emulate the original series. He's going to stick with 6 Pokemon, being Pikachu, Unpheasant, Leavanny, Samurott, Pignite and Boldore, and I'm going to make this Boldore be a shiny Boldore. As for Iris's Pokemon, she's going to get Exew and Excadrill still, but she's going to get the other 2 dragons, being a Dino as well as a Druddigon. Druddigon will have the same temperament as Dragonite. She will get Pokemon that are very draconic, that being Snivy, and Pokemon from the Dragon Egg group, that being Scraggy. As for the other Pokemon, they are going to be Silence. Silent will still get Pansage, Crustle and Stunfisk, but in this timeline, he will also get, Emolga, that was Iris. That way he can have electricity on the ground and in the air. He's going to get Ash's Palpitoad in this timeline, so there's going to be, some camaraderie with Stunfisk that we never saw in the original saga. And he's going to have a Herdier, a shiny Herdier. It's going to be a literal Greyhound. So, because he has a Lillipup, right? He has a Lillipup in the games, and Burgundy has a Stoutland, so you could have like a Torracat and Incineroar type of rivalry going with this one, right? And when it comes to Ash's starters, well, for Ash's starters, let's think about it. In Kanto he had all 3, in Johto he had all 3, in Hoenn he only had Sceptile, and in Sinnoh he had Torterra and Infernape. So here I'm going to give, Pignite and also Samurott, because that way he can get, the original 3 of Kanto with the original 3 of Johto. It's a team of 6. And then we can have, Torterra with Sceptile, and we can get, Pignite with, Infernape, but we can also have, a trio being Sceptile, Infernape and Samurott. That could, be a great power trio, and especially with Unova because it has triple battles. However, without further ado, and no disclaimers ahead, let's start this what if Ash's journey ended in Unova. Buckle up, trainers, this will be a fun one. So, without any ado, the pacing of the episodes, it's going to be the very same until the Unova League. We are still going to get Ash versus Roxy, Iris versus Drayden, etc, etc. But this trio, it's going to be more of an empath trio with Ash's Aura, Iris's Dragonheart, and Silence Connoisseur gig, because that way they can read the hearts and emotions of Pokemon and be the perfect counter against Team Plasma. The League will still happen. However, Ash's battle against Strip will not be a 1v1 in the preliminaries, it will be a 3v3 in a triple battle format. Ash will not battle Trip in the top 128, but yes, in the top 64. There are going to be 64 trainers just like in Sinnoh, because they are the two Nintendo DS generations. So Ash will battle Trip, then he will battle Bianca on top 32, because I don't want for Bianca to lose to Cameron, and then he will battle, you know, Stefan at top 16 as per usual. So he will battle his rivals in the first rounds, he will defeat Cameron in top 8, but he will lose to Virgil on top 4. Pikachu will lose to Eevee on top 4, so there is that. I don't want for Ash to win the Unova League, but I feel like him being, you know, on top 4 again, it's, you know, a good way to represent that he still has room to grow, and making him, you know, a runner-up, it would just feel very tainted, in my opinion. So basically, episode and a half would be Ash against, you know, Cameron, the other episode and a half will be Ash against Virgil, so there is no returning to Juniper and helping the girl with the Tepig, that will not happen. However, what will happen is that Best Wishes 110, the episode where Anne shows up, it's still going to be episode 110 when Anne shows up, but Anne is going to show up as the final beacon of the League, and he will be the one to basically dismantle Virgil in the finals. So Anne shows up without any notice, only to destroy Virgil in the finals with his Reshiram no less, and he's going to, you know, start the Team Plasma arc after, you know, becoming the conference winner of the Virtuous League, and he's going to, you know, try to take down, you know, Alder and everyone, and Ash and his comrades, they have to, you know, help the Unova region with, you know, dealing with Team Plasma and Anne, and this is going to be an arc where, you know, Ash is going to try to get, you know, the Dark Stone to summon Zekrom for the Duel of Dragons. But there are other trainers in the mix, you know, we get, you know, our typical Plasma Grunts, and we are going to get the Shido Triad involved in here, right? And we are also going to get, you know, Zinzolin and the other sages. For this, you know, mini arc, Ash will still have his Pokemon, however, the Sandile that followed him, now a Krokorok, in this timeline he wasn't caught, but he's going to be caught really soon. Krokorok is going to have a similar role to Larvitar, being, you know, the unofficial 7th of Ash's team in order to, you know, defeat Team Plasma. And after defeating Team Plasma, he will become a Crocodile, and he will defeat, you know, Anne and Getsis and Colrus, and, you know, everything will be fine and dandy until Team Rocket shows up, because, you know, Team Rocket was super serious in this series, so I want to continue to have that. We are going to get Giovanni and Mewtwo, and we are going to get, you know, Mega Mewtwo Y being the awakened form, so the movie plot would be here, and we could get like a Rocket versus Plasma could happen here with Mewtwo versus Genesect, and Ash having, you know, a ground type Pokemon and Crocodile, you know, ground and dark, right? It's basically the impetus for Giovanni. We could have a Ash versus Giovanni, you know, Pikachu against Persian, Crocodile against, you know, King Kangaskhan or one of the Nidos, the Queen or the King or whatever. That would be amazing. So that's what I want for this to be. Also, it's very important to note that in this timeline, instead of having 14 episodes of Team Plasma and 22 of the Decolor Islands, I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to have 22 episodes of Team Plasma and 14 not of the Decolor Islands, but of something else. And since we are in Black and White 2 territory, I think that you are going to figure out pretty soon what it is. So there's that. Team Plasma being at the end was not a failure. It was a failure because they had short time. They could have had a big arc of 36 episodes, being the amount of the Orange Archipelago, but even I think it was too much for that. It's like the Darkest Day in Journeys. Being early wasn't an issue. The issue is they didn't utilize the fact that that was early as the impetus for gym leaders and other Galar characters going to Ash and Go for information. But that is a topic for another day. Now, when it comes to this generation, because Team Plasma wants to liberate Pokémon, and after Ash's failure to win the Unova League, all of his Pokémon basically ditch him. I know this is very gruesome and very dark, but you know, all of his Pokémon basically abandon Ash because they see that Ash didn't brought them to, you know, these expectations and what they wanted, and Ash has an inspiring Pokémon master. He needs to, you know, get his Pokémon back. They do leave with each of the other 5 sages that aren't Getsis or Zinzolin. So Ash basically only has Pikachu and the now newly caught and evolved Crocodile. So Ash basically calls Professor Oak to bring his reserves to save his other Pokemon from the other Plasma Sages. And we get, you know, Luker involved because of International Police and, you know, the post-game of, you know, Black and White. I'm not going to have characters like Hugh and Benga here because they are not really necessary. Sharon will still get his cameo episode, but that's about it. Now, let's have Ash's reserves return to save Ash's former Pokemon. Squirtle it's going to be called because there was a firefighter episode in the Team Plasma arc, so I really want for Squirtle to return, to basically return Samurott to Ash's team. And this is going to be, you know, the episode where Squirtle has to basically become a member of Ash's team once again and cut ties with the squad by becoming a war turtle. I know that this is very taboo for the fan base, but I realistically don't care. I really want for Ash to have, you know, a starter of Kanto in each evolutionary stage, and since Bulbasaur won't evolve to be like Red and Super Smash, War Turtle will be the best option. As for the other episode, and this would be, you know, an episode centered in Humilau City, the city where, you know, Cameron battled Marlon. Every episode of Rescue, this is going to be like a 5-parter mini arc. Every Rescue episode, it's going to be focused on a Black and White 2 city, so they are in Humilau City. As for the next episode, they would go to Lantimus Town to try to, you know, get Ash's shiny Boulder. So this is going to be an episode where Gible returns, and Gible's going to train with, you know, Silence now, Palpitoad, and even Crocodile because they're ground types. And Gible is going to become a Gabite in this episode. So the Sandstorms of Boulder will not have any effect, it will only help Gabite even more, and Gabite will, you know, defeat one of the sages and get Boulder back. As for the other episode, we have the return of Primeape, because he was in the opening, and since Squirtle and Primeape are Pokemon that Ash didn't release, they are just in training. Primeape returning to return Pignite would be amazing, and this would be the impetus for, you know, Pignite becoming an Emboar, because that way in Gen 3 we get, you know, Sceptile, in Gen 4 we get Torterra, and Infernape, Gen 5 we get, you know, Emboar and Samurott. So basically you have Grass, Grass Fire, and Fire Water. So that's basically amazing in my eyes. So yeah, they would, you know, get Pignite back now as an Emboar, and, you know, they would return in the Verbank complex. The following episode would be Ash's Bayleaf being in Flocassi Ranch, the hometown of, you know, Alder. It will be Bayleaf trying to retrieve, you know, Leavanny. Leavanny being the first Pokemon of Ash's that evolved via friendship. So take that, Lucario. But, you know, and Bayleaf is very friendly with Ash. So Body Slam would become the move Return, a normal move that becomes more powerful the bigger the bond you have with your trainer. And this would be the impetus for Bayleaf to now be a Meganium. So now Ash's Kanto squad will be Bulbasaur, Wartortle, and Charizard, and his Johto squad will be Totodile, Quilava, and Meganium. So a starter for each stage. I think that would be very, very cool. And speaking of Charizard, last but not least, the final episode will be in Espertia City, where they have to try to get Unfezant back. And this is where Ash's Charizard hears the news about Team Plasma, and he would return, so we get the Charizard return, best wishes still. But just like how Giovanni awakened Mewtwo with the Mega Evolution that we still don't know about yet, this is where Ash's Charizard becomes a Mega Charizard Y. You know, to try to battle Reshiram that it's still running amok. And you know, Ash has a bond with Zekrom still, so you know, yay, firepower. Maybe you can have Victini there. Maybe Meloetta returns with Victini, we don't know. So that's basically, you know, the impetus for, you know, this Team Plasma arc. So I think it will be very funny, you know, to basically pay respect to the Unova region and the Unova League and using the elements and the characters, trainers and Pokemon alike, to their best assets, right? So I think it will be very cool to, you know, kind of do this. But without further ado, you guys must be wondering, what about the Decolor Islands? Well, Ash in this generation doesn't rotate the team like in OS, he doesn't lose in the 5th round like in OS, so just like in OS, there will be no filler Pelago, but there will be a final arc for Ash, okay? And this final arc, it's going to be exactly like the one from Pokemon Journeys, that being, you know, the quote-unquote Masters 8 tournament. Because in Black and White 2, we do get the World Tournament, right, in Driftvale City. Even in Journeys episode 12, we were told that Lance was the one that won that tournament. So this is going to be it. The final tournament is going to be Ash in this, you know, version of the Masters 8. The battles that aren't Ashes, and all the battles are going to be 6v6, the battles that aren't Ashes, they are going to be basically dismantles, like how Brandon did with Paul, right? And these are going to be, you know, battles where you see Lance, Cynthia, Steven, even Wallace is here, and then we get, you know, Ash and Alder, so yeah. And even Iris is in the mix of this, because, you know, she also helped Ash, and you know, she also wants to be inspiring to become a champion, just like Ash. So basically, Ash reaching Alder was Ash reaching a champion, and Ash mentoring Iris was him tutoring another champion. I want for Ash's, you know, send-off and passing of the torch to be, you know, also a mentor and mentee role. Like how we had in AG, with, you know, May at the beginning and Brandon at the end. And since, you know, N won the Vertrans Conference, he will also participate in this tournament as, you know, a way to basically make amends with himself, if that is to, you know, take any precedent. So, as for the battles, we are going to get Cynthia versus Iris, where Cynthia would win, Anne versus Alder, where Alder would win, Steven versus Wallace, where Steven would win, and Ash versus Lance, where Ash would win. And Ash would use his OS squad as a myriad of Pokemon from, you know, Kanto and Johto. So we never got Ash versus Lance in the Masters 8, and from all of the Masters 8 members, Lance was the first one that Ash met and the only one that he never faced in battle. I still remember that poster with Gyarados and Dracovish, and despite of me not liking Dracovish as an Ashmon in a way, because I feel like he had very lost potential as a Pokemon, but that's, you know, a topic for another day. I really would like for Ash to battle Lance, so this would be it, right? So there's that. And in the semifinals, Alder would battle Cynthia, because, you know, they were in the Lacunosa Town Junior Cup, right? So Cynthia would defeat Alder, and since Steven beat Wallace, Steven, it would be now it's now the new champion, so it's like the new champion versus the former champion. The transition is happening here, because, you know, DP had the Wallace Cup, but in X and Y, Steven was the champion because of Auras. So now Ash battles Steven, just like how we did in Journeys, but it's a 6v6, and Ash would use his 6 Pokemon, right, from, you know, the Hoenn squad, so that would be absolutely amazing in my eyes. Which means since we get no Diantha or Kukui or Leon in this timeline, the final battle would have to be, you know, Cynthia versus Ash. And since Ash utilized Charizard, the Fire Lizard, against Lance, and Sceptile, the Grass Lizard, against Steven, he would have to use now the Grass and the Fire against Cynthia. So he would use both Torterra and Infernape. These are basically Ash's Fire Red and Leaf Green in a way. And you know, Pikachu would have to face Garchomp at the very end. And in his own and unique Pikachu way, Pikachu would win because of static. It can paralyze ground types. And this is Gen 5. Maybe Pikachu's Quick Attack could upgrade to Extreme Speed. And that would be the best way to, you know, end off Ash as a world champion in Gen 5. His Unova Mons had their fair share of the bargain, and now his reserves, in tandem with his Unova Mons, are also getting their fair share of the bargain. So this would be a timeline where, you know, Ash ends his journey. We would get Red in Origins, so it's like really sending out the message of, Ash really is leaving, In X and Y, we would have no Ash. In Sun and Moon, we would have no Ash. It would have to be a brand new character with some new aspirations, and would be the beginning of the 3DS era as well as the mobile era, right? So there's that. And now for the final 4 episodes, like Carlos had. I was thinking about the farewell tournament, but I really don't think there is a real need for a farewell tournament, so I feel like these final episodes, they should really be about Ash's new companions being Silent and Iris. So now Iris would be the one succeeding Drayden as a gym leader, but she wants to go to Unova where Ash went with her, and she wants to, you know, try to become the new champion. She would even rival Anne and, you know, Alder's grandson Benga. So Iris would be training as a gym leader to now, you know, being a gym leader means that she could, you know, battle the league like without facing other gyms, or she could even train with the Elite Four, right? Because this is something I really don't like that Journeys didn't do, was, you know, we got Caitlyn in Best Wishes, but we never see Elite Four members from other regions, so Iris's epilogue could be, you know, Alder passing her the torch or something. We could have like Iris versus Benga, like who would inherit Alder? Would it be his blood or his will? As for Silent, since Silent is the best tag partner that Ash had in double battles, and we get the subway bosses in Imbasa City, I really do believe that Silent should be the one to open the Battle Institute in Imbasa City. It's basically a simulator situation in the games, so I feel like Silent would be the best character to open that Battle Institute and foster a new generation of trainers to be the very best, like no one ever was. For all we know, Chili could now be on an adventure on his own, and Cress would be the only gym leader of Striaton, so Cress and Marlon would basically have to co-share a badge, like how Lenora and Sharon do, right? And you know, as for the final episodes, Ash would go back to Pallet Town. I don't know if I'm going to incorporate Alexa here, but yeah, Ash would go to Pallet Town and he would realize that, you know, in his own way, shape and form, he's already a Pokemon master, and he goes to Mount Silver to battle Ho-Ho, because I really think that should be a case. But yeah, trainers, this was a very fun video to make. I really do believe that, you know, if the series had, you know, their little retinkering with the plot, Ash could have ended his journey in Unova. I know it wouldn't be ideal, but let's be realistic, no ending for Ash is ideal because the writing is a mess, and having Ash as a character, it's a lot of pressure on how to give him a send-off, but a send-off is needed. So this is my version for his finale if he was to end in Generation 5 with 16 years of protagonist role. So let me know what of you wanted to see more of this Unova adventure in the comment sections down below. Give me your thoughts about Ash's finale and send-off of this year, or in any other what-ifs or scenarios. So like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you later, trainers. Have a good one and an amazing journey.